in reflection of 2025, right, as we kind of look back and we've processed another year that we've been able to just experience, right? And so I think a lot of us have had, hopefully, some moments where we've sat down and we've kind of reflected on what did 2025 look like for you? You know, what were the wins? What were maybe the losses? What were the celebrations? What were the things that maybe you wish you could redo or do over? But in general, all of it, right? As a whole, once we get back to this understanding of that's 2025, right? And we are here in 2026. And if you're watching this, I know you're a part of it. And we get to actually decide what is it that we want to see, to feel, to experience more of in this new year that we have. And so I want to elaborate on that. And so I can't exactly tell who's all watching. I see we got what looks like 5 people in. So I'm going to continue to elaborate on where we're going with this. If you're watching and you're locked in right now, if you could drop a comment, tell me your name so I can see exactly who's with me on this live. I appreciate you being here, appreciate your time, and excited to just be able to, I guess in general, just share some more topics and knowledge on the allergic to average grind, right? The movement, what we're doing and what this looks like. So as we look back, as I was talking about, this last year, right, 2025, and experiencing another year of life, another year of different experiences, and D-Money, I see you're here, appreciate you. And so in that, when we look at more, what does that look like? What does that feel like? So we kind of evaluate and we kind of take into what is that going to feel like? What do we want more of in this new year? And even moving forward, right? And so the beautiful thing is we get to decide on whatever the more is that we want to see. Is it more money? Is it more peace of mind? Is it more relationships, to grow in? Is it more opportunity? What is the more, right, that we want to be able? Is it more time with the people that mean the most to you? Is it more travel? Is it more vacation? Is it just more time to just relax and settle down and get to just, take in the beautiful things of life, maybe slow down, more slow down time. And so whatever your more is, right? Because typically I will say, and I know this is true for you, when we think of more, we don't think of the painful things of more. We don't think about, I want more stress, right? I want more worry this year. I want more chaos. I want more heartache. I want more problems. We don't see that as something we want more of. In fact, we actually look on the opposite side of that spectrum and saying, whatever has caused the most pain, the most struggle, the most just uncomfortableness, I want less of that, right? And the solution to that is sometimes what feels like I want more time. I want more money. I want more opportunity. I want more experience doing this, right? I want more time with my family. And so in understanding that really the thing that's going to move the needle for us this next year to make it different and to get into that more is really getting clear on what it is that you want more of, right? And so I know for that, many of us, when we look at this past year, there's obvious things that we want to get past, and we want more of these more brilliant, blissful, beautiful things, whatever that looks like, whatever your list is. But at the end of the day, we have to get really clear, more and more clear on what is that more that we're searching for, that we're desiring for. And so in saying that and talking about this desire for more, that's something that I want to continue to push and promote. And I said that at the beginning of this live. The desire for more is really something that the average person eventually loses. They eventually talk themselves out of. They eventually get comfortable. They eventually get very content with just what is. And I understand that, especially coming out of this last year, because just to be completely honest, man, this last year was beautiful in a lot of ways, great successes in a lot of ways. But for me personally, there was a lot of things that I felt like I was just trying to survive at times, right? The desire for more wasn't necessarily always there. The desire to push for more, to become more, to do more. Because sometimes where we're at, we feel like we have no ability to reach or to expand into more, right? And sometimes more scares us, because when we hear more, that's almost this requirement on us to be able to navigate and to be there and to get that, right? And so it almost, we would calculate that into to be more, to have more, to get more, I have to do more. And I was reminded more and more throughout this last year, and especially moving into this year, is that's not always true, right? The 8A Core 4, create, love, the grind, honor, right? When we think about more, sometimes we start thinking about how we're going to have to actually grind harder, and it's going to take more effort to get to more. But one of the things I really wanted to submit to you today in going into this next year is how that's not always the truth. More times than not, our superpower into getting into the more, into accomplishing, into experiencing whatever more looks like for us, is actually just getting more clear on that. And so it doesn't always mean that, hey, if I want even more money, right? A lot of times when we think about making more money, producing more, that means I have to do and grind harder, right? But I wanted to propose to you that what would this year look like? And also submit to you how much different this next year, this year that we are in now, can look in tapping into that more when we actually start to partner with clarity, right? Getting really clear on that. And so when I started out and I was in the beginning of this live, I asked, what do you want more of this year, right? And so, again, I know most people typically, yeah, even including myself, the very first on that list would be more money, right? More money is always going to be something that we naturally go for. Hey, I'd love more money, because it seems as if money is always going to be the answer, the gateway to more freedom, more vacation, more things, more happiness. And as much as that is true, that is not the whole truth, right? That's not the full truth. And so if your answer is money, right? I want more money, which I think all of us could acknowledge that, or at least agree on that. Before we look at this topic of money, what is it that we want, or you want money to bring more of? Is that peace of mind? Is that more time and experience with the people you love? Is that more experiences of you being able to bless and provide and take care of others, maybe the ones that are in your immediate direct family? Because we have to be able to look at a deeper level, because the average person would focus on the surface level things of the more, right? Like more money, I want more possessions, I want more recognition, I want, anything of that. But as we get clear on the deeper level below, maybe it's money, okay, but behind the money, what is it that you're actually wanting and you're actually seeking that would bring more of? And so, as we get clear for this next year, I think that allows us to actually partner with and move into seeing that desire for more grow, right? And so a lot of times, I've even made the mistake, I think most people, we make the mistake of becoming more overwhelmed by all of the opportunities, all of the things at hand, all of the things to do, all of the things that need to get done. And it starts to really create an inner conflict, right? And this is something that coming into this brand new year of 2026, I've really had to get clear on what is the inner conflict that I'm experiencing, right? What are the, you've heard me talk before about limiting beliefs. What are the limiting beliefs in my own self, this inner conflict that's actually the core reasoning for me not experiencing more finances coming in, me not experiencing more opportunity, me even feeling stuck at times, right? And so clarity is power, right? And so the only issue, most people's issue with getting clear is the actual work and time it takes to get clear. And a lot of times, including myself, and this is a reminder as we're moved into this new year, is that inner work is really what moves the needle and allows us to correlate into, hey, this is what I see, what I want for more. And instead of trying to make it happen, instead of trying to, in a sense, force your way, mentally think your way into it, right? How do we align into that? How do we actually make a directional shift that gets us out of lack, limit, and this, again, inner conflict? Because that inner resistance that we all face at times, those doubts, right? Those questions, am I enough? Am I good enough? Am I worthy enough? Is that somebody that is actually, am I somebody that is actually able to do this, right? And majority of us, those are the questions that we live with quietly sometimes. When we start to think about the more that we want to accomplish, the more that we want to see, we're immediately met with this inner resistance, this inner conflicts, which a lot of times come through questions and doubts. And so my suggestion to you this year, as we continue to move throughout this next 12 months, and this is, how can we become more clear on these limiting beliefs, this inner conflict that is keeping us stuck, keeping us worried, keeping us stressed, keeping us in overwhelm. And so I'll tell you again, this has been something that I would say over the last 10 years, I've dealt with. I've felt, I've experienced this, I've seen this. But more than ever, up until I would say in these last 10 years, this has been something that I've had to go back to and really dial into and really revisit. And the truth is, it's been painful. It's been really painful. It's been really, really tough. Especially as I look back at 2025, my inner conflicts, even limiting beliefs that I've done work on before, or I've thought have been kind of eradicated and gone. I don't have to deal with that anymore. I've watched those doubts. I've watched those worries. I've watched, through stress and overwhelm, these almost limiting beliefs popping back up, and me having these conflicts that are carrying out throughout my experience in my day, throughout my week. And so we all get there at times. We all find ourselves in these places again of worrying about, is that really true for me? Is more really available? Is more really something that I can accomplish, or that is in my cards in this life? And so to answer that question, if that has been something that you've struggled with or you've questioned, yes, more is available. More is what is actually promised and it is actually your birthright. But the challenge always becomes, how do we get into that more? How do we actually see ourselves continuing to grow? And with allergic to average, everything we always talked about, right? A new way of thinking becomes something that actually allows us to stay in the direction of moving towards the more, not staying content and stagnant and just really comfortable with where things are, knowing and feeling and even desiring to have more joy, more peace, right? More finances, more happiness, more peace of mind, right? But it really takes a shift in thought, a different way of thinking for us to be able to see that more is available and that we can accomplish that more and that we can continue to grow in the more. And so as we look at, what has been good or bad, it feels like in life, more is constantly available. And so our superpower, and one of the things that we constantly bring people into in allergic to average, is to get out of, I always talked about Romans 12:2, right? The patterns and the way that it feels like our environment, the world around us, really kind of saturates and compresses us into what we feel like or what we think life should be, who we should be, what we should be doing. In this experience of social media, and I talked about this often, is, it's really easy. I mean, more than ever, to really start to compare and to get into this comparison game. And I know for me at times, especially this last year, looking back, it could just be moments on social media, and even myself starting to compare myself to others or compare myself to other businesses or other fathers or just in general, other people, other leaders. And so in that comparison, seeing what has been more for somebody else or what that could look like for me, there's never any kind of winning in comparing to others or to what we think we should be by the world's standards, by the society around us. And so I always go back to this understanding and thinking that, for us to continue to grow in what is available and what is actually in existence for us, right? We have to continue to upgrade and transition our thoughts, our beliefs, right? That inner conflict that sometimes stops us or fills us with doubts or gets us questioning. And so what does that look like? I mean, there's a lot of things that we could walk through, and I don't have all that time to do that on this live, but the first and foremost one is really just like I've mentioned a while ago, it's getting clear. It's really getting clear on what is it that you want, right? And working with a coach right now, one of the things that I've had to get back to is not obsessing and really trying to understand and figure out how am I going to do this? How is it going to happen? But giving yourself the permission to just decide on this is what I want, right? And this is what I feel like I need to continue to do to get to that. And giving yourself the ability to make a decision by being clear on, hey, I want less of this, right? This could be, again, pain, problems, what feels like lack. Maybe it's loneliness. Maybe it's just a way of thinking that has tormented you, right? Maybe you're a person that you worry and you stress a lot about what you feel like is going on in our world today, our society, right? Maybe it's you see on social media or you hear on the news, and it seems like things are just getting worse, right? So maybe that you want less of that worry and you want more of that peace of mind. Again, the list goes on, but whatever that more is for you, it's getting clear on what is it that is really the antidote for what you want less of. And the focus not being, because our brain, right? David Baer always talks about your brain is a goal-achieving machine. And so when we focus on, which is a natural thing for us to do, what we don't want or what we want less of, we're actually doing the opposite by putting emphasis in, we're putting focus on what you don't want to see and what you want less of. As you focus on that more, that begins to expand, and your brain begins to remind you of it's still real, it's still here, it's still all around you, right? And so it continues to perpetuate into a cycle where that's what we just constantly experience, okay? Myself included. And so it's bringing us back to, you've heard me say this before if you've followed Allergic to Average and Matt Lee for a minute, but where your focus goes, that's what grows, right? And so the power of your focus and where we choose and decide to place that focus, it's such a slept on superpower that we have to get back to understanding and partnering with, myself included. And so instead of allowing the people, the culture, the world around us to dictate what we're focusing on, the complete game changer and game shifter in our own life is where we are choosing to place and continue to. This is almost a daily thing. This is a daily thing, I should say. of deciding where we will focus and where will continue to allow ourselves to stay clear and stay focused on. What is that thing? What is that? And so I'll give you an example. When we're looking at clarity and how do we partner with this, and maybe even what am I doing this year to allow myself to stay in that vein of clarity and staying in the more. And so for me, I'll give you an example. One of those things is peace of mind. It really is. All the different hats that I wear, all the things that I'm involved in, all the things that I'm helping build or I'm a part of, can easily bring lots of worry, lots of stress, doubts even. And then especially if something doesn't happen right away or doesn't go the way I thought it should, or maybe it just kind of what feels like backfires, it's very easy to get back in that cycle of worry, of stress, of doubt, of fear. And so the actual invitation for me this year from myself is to get back into deciding, right? Prayer and meditation and journaling, these are all tools that we have. These are all tools that I've accessed and I've utilized for a long time in my life. But sometimes we get laxed on the tools that we have, right? Or we use them for a while and then we feel like, hey, we're good and we don't need it anymore. So we kind of lay those tools down. And so I was reminded this morning, and I had my 3-year-old Daniela, and we were getting ready to leave the house and take her off to childcare and all. And both of my girls, they know that Dad has tools, right? Like actual physical tools. And so often I will be the fixer, right? It could be a toy. I'm talking the head off of a Barbie or the wheel off of a car or something on the Barbie house. But typically my girls know that if I can, I'm going to fix it. And so this morning, while getting my little girl ready, she found a bow for her hair. And on that bow, one of the pieces of the bow came out of it, and it to her was broken, right? The bow wasn't the way it should be. It didn't look completely as a bow should. And so she looked at it. She puts it next to my face almost, and she goes, "Hey, can you fix this?" And I was like, yeah, I'll fix it here in a little. She goes, "Yeah, you have tools," right? And now I don't need any kind of tools to fix her little bow, but she knows that because I have tools, I can fix it, right? Because there's tools in my toolbox that I often use to fix things. She thought, hey, Dad has tools, he can fix this. And so for me, it was a funny but simple reminder, and that is true for every single one of us, right? Every single one of us, we have tools that we've developed, that we've built with, that we've gained. And what happens though over time is those tools, because we've become so accustomed to them, or we've used them for so long that we don't see the importance or even the demand of them anymore. They just seem like another tool in the toolbox. But I want to remind you, getting back into kind of the clarity and the focus of this year, what are the tools that you need to dust off and that you need to put back into your daily flow, right? And so for me, one of those was journaling. Journaling seems very like, that's cute. That's a nice thing to do. But in general, that's something that I stopped doing for a minute, or I would just kind of space out the time frame of when I was actually journaling and making that a part of my routine. And but within journaling for me and getting clear and staying in a state of, my mind at rest, I'm more in a relaxed state. I forgot how much the tool of journaling has helped me to accomplish that, right? And so it's funny because often, there's a lot of tools in my toolbox, my physical toolbox, that I forget I have. But it's not until I need it, right? It's not until I come into a position where the hammer is the only thing that is going to move the needle or help me to fix this thing, whatever that is, that I go back to, wow, I am so glad I have a hammer. I'm so glad I have a drill. I'm so glad I have a tape measure, right? Often I forget how many tape measures I have around my house or in my possession, but they often get misplaced or lost, but it's not until I need the measurement. I need to know exactly how big something is, or is it going to fit, or is it going to work, that I'm like, oh gosh, where's the tape measure? I need my tape measure, right? And so my suggestion for just people in general, including myself this year, is what if instead of we allowing ourselves to get to this place where things feel broken, things feel out of whack, things are in chaos, that we go searching desperately for these tools that we've misplaced or we haven't had any kind of momentum with? What if we kept those tools as a part of our daily structure, as a part of our weekly outlook? What if we utilize, and so those tools I'm talking about, again, it could be, some of us, man, we got to get back to just walking and talking to God, right? Some of us, we got to get back to not being so focused on just ourselves, which there's a lot there in our own daily lives, but how do you get out of just what's going on in your life? And maybe it's checking in, and it's texting, it's calling mom, dad. Maybe it's that family member, it's that mentor, right? Some of us, we do need to get back into a journaling. Some of us, we need to do some more, or if we haven't yet, meditating and quieting our minds. Some of us just need to give ourselves the ability to separate from, yes, even at times our own family. And maybe it's the friends around us, and just having a moment for you, putting yourself first. Some of us, we got to get back to just letting people know how much we appreciate and we love them, right? And some of us, we got to get back to, maybe it's our physical health. It's what we're allowing ourselves to put in our body. It's maybe drinking, again, more water. Maybe it's just choosing healthier things to eat for a better sense of an experience of how you feel throughout your day. So whatever the more is that you want to see for 2026, I wanted to kind of recap as I come to a close here and saying the first thing we got to do is just get clear on that, right? Write that down. Maybe you send that to your spouse or to a good friend and say, hey, just so you know, which sounds silly, right? But it's not. It's really one thing that we got to continue to do is, hey, just so you know, or maybe it's for you, it's you physically writing something down, right? This is kind of what I was doing just the other day, right? And getting clear and seeing and taking yourself serious enough to say, hey, I want to get clear on, these are my goals, this is my focus. This is where I'm pushing, and I'm continuing to want to grow in more of this, right? So taking yourself serious enough to do that and getting clear on that, but then utilizing and not forgetting, or maybe it's even building or finding, what are the tools that you need to access, or that you need to dust off again and continue to utilize, so that you can grow and stay continually building the more. And so the more that you want to see, again, it's probably not as important to anybody else, right? Maybe it may seem silly to somebody else, but whatever it is that you're pushing for more of, right? I would say that we have the desire for more, because this is something that is a God-given desire, right? Nobody desires more lack. Nobody desires more pain. Nobody desires more struggle. But often, if we allow ourselves to the focus of what's going on around, what's going on even in our own community, in our own families, and just the world in general, it feels like there's more of that going on. And so with so many distractions and so much noise in the world that we live in, but in our own lives, it's so crucial. It's a critical thing for us to continue to develop with the tools that we have, with the time that we have, with the power of making a decision and deciding, these are the things that I need to access and I need to continue to grow, to continue to move in the direction of feeling, of seeing, and accomplishing more. And so the last thing I want to add on to that as I come to the close here on the live is visualizing and understanding too, when we think about the end of this year, because we know that time is, it's moving us closer. We're on the 6th day of the new year. And it felt like just yesterday we were doing Christmas and opening up gifts, and it was holiday time, right? And then it was just maybe like 2 days ago we were doing a countdown and we were looking into the new year, and here we are, 6 days. And so this is such a great time, and just I wanted this to be a reminder as we are looking at our Tune In Tuesday and what are ways that we can tune in to tune up. What are the tools that are going to help you to get to that outcome, that outlook that you want to see, not even by the end of this year, but just growing in. If you can even imagine, hey, what do I want to feel like, what I want more of, what I want to experience at the end of this year, right? 2027, January 6th of 2027. What is it that I want to be in? What is it I want to be doing? How do I want to feel, right? And so don't be afraid. Don't be scared to make a decision, to make a direct call on, these are the things I need. This is what I need to be doing. If anything, get clear on that and find the people around you that are going to continue to help you and support you. And sometimes you don't have maybe that immediate access to them, right? Maybe they're not in your direct line of, people around you. But how do you tap into things like even Tune In Tuesday? This is part of helping you to stay focused and stay clear on what is the more that you want to see and that you want to accomplish in this next year. And so that's where I'm at. That's what I'm going to continue to do. That's my promise. That's my guarantee. And not only for you, but more especially for me and growing through this next year. And so I welcome you and I continue to invite you on this journey of continuing to level up and continuing to grow as we expand into another year, another blessing to still be here, but to not stay comfortable, right? To not stay just content with where things are, to be content, to be happy, but to continue to know that more is available and that you have what it takes. And so let that be a reminder. Hopefully this is something that serves you. I hope that this gives you some type of clarity and direction of where to put your focus. Again, where your focus goes, that's what grows. And so may we continue to focus on the things that are going to expand us, even when they're hard, even when they're challenging and uncomfortable, knowing that this is what it takes to get to more. And as we accomplish more, we help others to see and accomplish and take on more. And so that's true for me. That's true for you. And so I wanted that to be a reminder here on this Tune In Tuesday. So I hope this blesses you as much as this has blessed me to share with you. And Matt, if there's any questions, any comments, maybe just takeaway point, throw that in the comments so that maybe people can view that and see kind of what have been some of the takeaways that you've had. And maybe there's been a shift or maybe something that has reminded you of what that desire for more looks like for you in this next year. And so just wanted to kind of end it there. So just know I love and appreciate you guys to stay tuned for the many things that this new year will bring through Allergic to Average, through the other hats and businesses, and even for yourself. Continue to share that with me, Allergic to Average family. What is it that you're desiring more for and that you're growing in? And how can we as a community, how can we as individuals partner with you in that? And so let me know in the comments, like I said, and give me any feedback, any other questions that you might have. So guys, I think that does it for this first Tune In Tuesday in the new year. And blessings to you, love to you, and all that you do and you are taking on. And I think that does it for me. I'm going to leave it there. I'm out. Love you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.